Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Motorcycle Rescuer and I am the Motorcycle Rescuer. Now in this video I'm going to be taking apart the engine, the top ends, and we're going to be looking at the piston and cylinder. Now the piston and cylinder is meant to be new, so there's no huge concerns there, except this bike was given to a professional mechanics. They did all the work on it, they charged the person a bomb, so the person left the bike. That's how me and Jake had it. So they did the work on the bike and then left it sitting. Now they didn't leave it sitting inside. They had like a garden out the back. They left it sitting outside. They just didn't do anything to keep the bike safe, really. So that's how we ended up with it. Now let's be honest, we weren't expecting it to look this bad, and when we collected it, they didn't even give us a key, and we were like, no way, we're not buying this. No logbook, no key, nothing. But they explained the situation. Now the spark plug in it is brand new and it's been sitting for 5 years, so that means actually the rebuild probably did happen. What didn't happen was the engine wasn't turned over. That means the piston and the rings that were in there have possibly compressed and are possibly still compressed, and that's why they're not putting out any compression. Now I'm going to talk to you about the difference between 2-stroke and 4-stroke and why you shouldn't be worried about the 2-stroke too much, and maybe a little bit why you should at some point. But ultimately, breaking down the 2-stroke engine is easier than a 4-stroke in some ways, and I will explain that. So let me get myself sorted, let me get my tools out, I'll get that compression tester off so we're ready, and then we'll start with what we're doing. So let's start with some basics. We need to get kind of this stuff out the way. So any of these pipes, this pipe goes from there to here. There's a on the other side there's a wire that I've disconnected, and then you've got the big hose there, which would have coolant in it normally. Your bike will have coolant in it. So what you need to do is undo the lowest hose, like down here, and let the coolant drain out at some point, because otherwise you risk that all going into the engine, which is how these break the majority of the time anyway, through the gaskets. So clean it all up. I'm going to take this hose off now, get it all kind of cleaned up, ready for the actual barrel to be taken off. That part is, to an extent, the easy part. So we've stripped away all the pipe work, remembering where it goes for when we come back. Now we have 4 10s, I think they're 10s there. That's that one there, and there's one there, and then there's 2 on the other side. At the moment, they're the only 4 bolts we need to worry about. We get a 10 in there, swipe the ratchet, pop that head off, and we'll have a look underneath, okay? One thing I want to check is this nipple here. I want to make sure it's all good and sealed. I'm going to get some penetrating fluid into it, just to make sure. If you are losing compression there, then that would not be helping your engine. So it's all that stuff you need to check at this stage while you still can. But 4 10s, take your time. A little bit of penetrating fluid wouldn't hurt on them. And then, yeah, get in there, undo them, and we'll have a look at what's underneath. Hopefully they undo easily enough. So these bolts were fine. I think that release spray is really good stuff, guys. One thing we have to remember, which I've already forgot about, I have to be honest, is the exhaust. I need to unbolt the exhaust, but I wanted to unbolt the exhaust anyway, because I want to give it a good clean and a good coat of black at some point. Way down the line that would be, though. Right, there's 4 bolts off. There you go. Cool. When we pop that off, keep an eye out for the gaskets. Ideally you'd reuse them, but I think if this isn't some sort of kind of quick save today, then I think it would be a matter of just buying a new cylinder and head, really, a new piston, maybe even like a 70cc kit or something, just to save all the hassle. So yes, don't forget the exhaust. Now the exhaust is actually a bit awkward on this side to get to. It's in there. I think it will be an Allen key. Actually, nope, it looks like it's a, what is that? Oh god, I don't, yeah, Allen key. And there's no room in the frame to get in there, so you'd probably have to put an Allen key down here and loosen it up. I have sprayed release fluid in there, and on the other side I have no idea how I'm going to get into that, but that's kind of stuff we'll look at in a little while. I guess you could unbolt the exhaust at the back if you needed to, and then move all this forward at the right time and then undo that, but for now let's keep it simple. 4 bolts in the storage compartment, so we know what we're looking for there. Right, tuck this stuff away, we don't need to worry about that right now. And then we'll take this off and we'll have a look. There's your thermostat, there's your gasket. Looks okay actually, and this head does look clean. It looks very clean. This gasket looks a bit, it looks fine actually. Yeah, and like I said, the head's very clean, so that's a good start, guys. That's almost definitely a new head. That's good news. I can now see in to the piston a little bit. It's kind of there. What was interesting was it did hold some PSI overnight, but not much. Tiny bit. So it wasn't as bad as it seemed at first, but also it was, if that kind of makes sense. Hardest part of the next step here now is the exhaust. So I'm going to have to spend some time getting under there, seeing what Allen key fits. I guess just do one side at a time for now, guys, because we do need to slide this off. The other thing that would be good, have I got any access to the engine? No, I've not. So I'd probably be best popping this cover off again and being able to spin the engine over. But instead we're going to have a look down into the piston and cylinder and see what's going on. We'll do it properly. So the exhaust bolts being fairly loose this side was godsend, but actually if you get a long Allen key you can go through under here. You kind of go up here, and you can do this side's fairly easily. The other side you need a short version of this, and you just got to work hard on that one. I'm going to keep this safe. I'm currently what am I doing? I'm popping off the rear bracket here for the exhaust, because we need the exhaust fully off to be able to move the head. It's probably the only thing left holding the head on. The head would slide off at this point. So yeah, pop that off. I'm keeping everything in this handy storage area, guys. It's really convenient actually. Look, lift it up, chuck it in, bye bye. Yeah, really handy. Right, that exhaust is off. I'm going to pop that off completely, put it aside, because I want to de-rust it anyway. It needs a coat of paint at some point. Get some of that penetrating fluid down in these areas that you're going to be looking at. You may as well. And then actually this head's ready to come off, so that'll be interesting. So there's the exhaust, guys. It's not in terrible shape considering how much these things cost. This is in pretty good shape. I'm going to get a brush on it. What you do is tip some Pepsi Max on it. Pepsi Max is very handy. Coca-Cola or anything like that, let that kind of work away for a bit, and then get a rough brush on it, clean it up as best as you can, and then I'll probably get some sandpaper on it, and it will have a nice coat of black at some point, just to keep it kind of lasting for another few years. The mount's good, all of this is good. This is the restrictor bar. It used to come out here and end here. That restricted the bike. I did a few of these back in my day, pinching them off. You sometimes had one in here as well that you had to drill out. It may have had both. Okay guys, so I've tried to get you the best view we can. We'll know what this piston's doing by how easily this slides off, as in, is it Yeah, look, there's nothing holding that on, guys. I'm gonna go to the other side so you get a full picture. Yeah, see, I would expect more scrape there, guys. I'm being extremely light. Are they compressed, and will they stay compressed? Let's have a look. The top one came out there, guys. Right, be careful with this. It's got your gasket on it. I don't have a spare at this stage. Actually, that gasket's ruined. So actually, both rings did loosen up there, guys. This piston doesn't look new. Well, it kinda does. There looks like lots of play in there, guys. Side to side play is okay. I don't know. Now, you're not going to be able to see this. I think this has been rehoned terribly. If you look at all them scratches, and they're going left and they're going right. I'm trying to find you some lights. 1 minute. Let me get my other phone. That will torch. So, where were we before I was so rudely interrupted? Right, I think the shop honed this, and I think they did a terrible job. I'm trying to find an angle there for you guys. I can see the scoring left and right, and that's not piston scoring, that's honing. I think they've probably used a home tool. It's rubbish. There you go. Look at that, guys. That's rubbish. I don't think the piston rings are even touching that. I think this bike would need a new head and a new piston. I'll play on camera now anyway. I'm gonna kind of slide this piston in. We'll see if it appears to compress at all, but I don't think it will. Get the dots lined up. Right, where are you? There and right there. Let's see. You can't hear any scraping, guys. Can't feel any compression. Listen very carefully. Right, let me zoom you in there. No scraping noise, nothing. I mean, that's That's ridiculous. I mean, look how rubbish. It needs a full rebuild, guys. I think I'd like to go for a 70 kit. Yeah, they've honed that really badly, and they've honed it really badly, guys, and they haven't used oversized piston rings either. I don't know, I'd like you to see it, but I don't know if you can. Basically, it's scored kind of left and right. You shouldn't, you know, good honing, you wouldn't really see that scoring, but more importantly, the actual piston would still fit. You'd use oversized rings. In fact, guys, I'm going to pop that piston off and we'll play with it here. There you go. Now we can actually have a look and see what's going on with this. So, seeing it like this now, guys, having put it in what I would think is properly. Now this feels different to me. This has some give. Where is it? There it is. So that now is doing its job. I'd be tempted to put that back in. If I could keep it in like this and get the pin through here like that. There's a potential that the rings weren't on properly. The gasket's rubbish, but we would get to see if it fired up. Now the down arrow, I think, is meant to point to the exhaust. I believe it's meant to point to the exhaust, so that's fine. It kind of feels okay to me now. I'm going to consider putting this back on and seeing if it feels a bit better now. But I think the ultimate thing to do with this bike would be to buy a new cylinder and piston kit. Maybe even a 70cc top end, just because we can. Let me see, I'm going to have a little play. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I don't know if I want to kind of put it all back together. It's actually quite easy to mess with when there's no coolant at all in there. You can fire it up for a good, you know, minute or two without it causing any damage. It's once the coolant's back that you need to think about the gaskets and stuff are all good and proper. So guys, I've actually chucked it back together. Now, I want to be so clear here. I just want to do a compression test. You would not, even if the compression was higher, 80, 90, it's not right. The gaskets are ruined. You'd need a new gasket set, and you'd be nuts not to buy a new piston and bore anyway at this stage while you was doing this. But I'm curious if the piston rings were in not properly. These piston rings have a specific placement. There's actually a hole for them. There's actually a guide mark. They may not have been done very well. And again, I stand by the fact that the honing is just rubbish on this. You can see it just doesn't look right to me. Nat, I don't know if you know much about that. Nick, I bet you do. I bet you know about honing cylinders, and seeing the scratches like that, I feel like you shouldn't. I feel like if it was honed properly, that it would be smooth and you wouldn't see it. So if you know more than I do, let me know, mate. I'm almost definitely going to be throwing a new cylinder and piston on here anyway. So that's all nipped down. Now, our reading yesterday was 35 to 40. I wouldn't be surprised if this is higher, but it won't be significantly higher enough to change. I still think it's all kind of too loose in there when I turn by hand, but this is an interesting test anyway. So let me get all hooked up and we'll see what our reading is. Okay guys, I don't want you guys getting confused with a will it start up video. It's not a will it start up video, it's the compression higher. The compression was under 50 last time. That's there. So full throttle. Hold the button down until it stops climbing. I can't see and you can, so I want to be able to see. So there you go, guys. There's your answer. It's possibly even a touch lower. Yeah, I mean that's it really. What's important now is it sinking? I think it's sinking already, actually, in front of our eyes. It's see, now it's between the two notches left and right, if you can see that. So it was up. So it was 50 minus 2. I think it's creeping down. So I think that, yeah, it's not sealed in there actually, and if you'd left it a good half an hour or something, you'd see it drop even more. So it's now bang smack in the middle. It was on the 2, it's now bang smack in the middle. Oh, it's such a tough one. This bike needs, let's do that actually. People have been saying the bike's not worth it, and you're absolutely right. The bike needs 2 new brake reservoirs and brake levers. That's straightforward enough to do. You can get just kind of basic ones. It needs probably, I don't know about the front caliper, I've not had it off, probably 2 new calipers. Almost definitely 2 new calipers. They're online, they're okay. Clocks and electrics are a bit all over the place. It needs indicators all round. The panel works okay, but we're missing one panel. Some of the electrics work. It has a horn when it feels like it. Exactly, when it feels like it. There you go. So bits and pieces on this bike are working. I was looking over this bike to see, Amanda, if my wiring would help you out, but I've got an oil chamber here, and I think you're 4-stroke. This connector looks similar to yours, and this is the regulator. Look, it's got 2 silvers, black, 2 blues, and a yellow, but yours has 3 yellows. But that definitely, if I pop this connector out, look, it looks similar to yours. So that's a regulator, that one. But I think yours is a CDI one. My CDI is different to yours. I think yours is a CDI one that somebody has bridged to use a different CDI. But I'd quite like to pop up to yours and have a little look, out of curiosity. How are we sitting there? It's definitely creeping down, guys. It's now nearly on the 3rd one. So we were on 50 and then 1 and then 2, and then it was bang smack in the middle. It's now pretty much on the 3. So I don't know. So I need to order a decent carb for this bike and a rebuild kit just to see if it starts and runs. Bit of a pain, but I would like this little 2-stroke to be up and running at some point. So that's it for today. That's probably not it about the video though. I'm going to do some de-rusting on that exhaust, because that's worth a few pounds anyway on its own, and these engines are worth a few pounds even if they're not running. It's great that I've changed the crank seals. That's a big job worth doing for other people, but I am going to do the compression, change the head anyway, just to see if it fires up. And that's it. I've got my eye out now. The XJ550 is probably selling today. That means I can pay Aidan the rest of what I owe him for the bike, and I can get myself onto a project. I just stuck the top fairing on this as well. I was bored earlier because there's some bits we can chuck on. I need this to come off now. We've ordered a new one. It should be here today or tomorrow. And alright. And that's about it. What are you up to? He's on the phone. Alright. What are you up to? You've sold the calf, haven't you, or you've taken a deposit?
Taken a deposit. He said he will give the rest on 19th. I said give it later by 21st, and basically once you get that, get the courier and everything bought,
Oh yes, it's being couriered. So you've taken a deposit.
I said if he doesn't come back after the 21st, the deposit is non-refundable, and that's why I said
Yeah.
21st, like give him a bit more time and everything.
Yeah, I do that. I do. I mean, I rarely keep a deposit, but I always say that I would, just to encourage them to follow through. You know, I get so sick of people doing that. So that's good. So you've sold. I mean, technically you've sold.
£300 deposit.
What?
£300 deposit.
You took 300, did you? I never go that high.
He offered it, not me.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but even if they do,
That's what
I
I was
say no.
calling you. I was like, how much should I ask? How much should I pay?
Yes, but you're just calling me at midnight, mate.
Money never sleeps.
No, yes, it does. I don't entertain people at unreasonable hours.
I go sleep on like
I say to them, look, if you're that keen, we'll talk about it at a reasonable time tomorrow.
well,
Cheers, buddy.
I'll be on the phone half the time on my RCS, so doing actual stuff.
All right, guys. So new top end for that. We'll get that ordered. The diode and the ignition should be here either today or tomorrow. I think we'll get this piece back together. I might pop off the exhaust today actually and chuck some black on it. I think I've got some somewhere. Give it a good clean. And I'll let you guys. I'll update you guys if the XJ sells today. Okay, guys. So I've massively de-rusted this exhaust, even though it still looks a bit. I've massively de-rusted it, and then I've used brake cleaner to clean off any residues. And I've got some high temp paint here that I'm going to warm up, and we'll put a layer of high temp paint on it, and that will help protect it for the future, which is good on a bike that looks like that and doesn't run. Alright guys, so where we are with the DNA at the moment is I've just ordered the new head. It is a 70cc 70cc kit. So it was quite expensive actually, 75 quid. But it's a decent one. So that'll be good. And let's hope that, I don't know, I want to just hear this engine running. If this engine does run, then I'll look at getting the actual carb for it. I mean, it just needs to splutter at least first, guys. You know, it needs to show me something, so that then I can look at putting in a little bit more money into this bike. So for now, I'm putting this bike away, and then I'm going to give the XJ a quick polish because the guy's coming to view that for a second time, and the parts for the Lex motor aren't here yet. And the exhaust is coming out nice, that's all it needs. Just let it dry off a bit, and then that's ready to go. And then that's kind of it for now, really. Hi guys, Warren's just popped past. The nuts we ordered for the exhaust weren't the right ones, so he needs to go and buy a bunch. I've spent the last 20 minutes stripping off the black paint. So we've got more red on the bike. I think it looks good. Black, red and blue. It's like Superman. Spider-Man, yes, it's quite Spider-Man-y. What we need is some webbing. But yeah, and you're going to order a panel, aren't you? I checked online, couldn't find any. Of course not. It's still a cool little bike, but it's so loud at the moment with the exhaust hanging off, of course. And them nuts, they're specific. I mean, we ordered one specific to the ET2, this bike, and they still aren't right. So Warren's now going to buy a multi-pack from Halfords, and we're going to pray that they do the basic job we need them to do. But every time I get this bike back, I'm maintaining it one way, shape or form. Like that red, I quite like the red. I'm going to put a bit of shine on it, get it shined up a bit. It's a bit dull at the moment because I've just cut it using compound, and obviously I scraped away all the black. It's cool. It's a cool little clown bike. So guys, back at the garage a couple of hours later. Pablo, the new potential owner of the XJ550, is on a nice big old test run. That bike's fully road legal and insured, so he can take as long as he wants on that one. But while I'm here, I've thrown a touch of wax on Sultan's bike because he's not very good at the general cleaning and maintenance stuff for some reason. And just kind of having a flick at the older Lex motor again, really trying to get it a bit clean and as ready as possible for sale, because as soon as it is ready, then we need to kind of get it moved on, ideally So yeah, we're just waiting. I give this guy, I tell all of my potential buyers to take half an hour or 45 minutes. You know, if the bike's going to break, I tell them, you want it to break now while it's still mine. If it overheats, you want it to overheat now while it's mine. And I tell them that actually that's the reality. You test it as long and as hard as you want. And then if you think you want to buy it, you buy it, and then that's at your risk. Which is great. I gave this guy a huge discount. I put it up for $18.50. I'm letting it go for 15. I probably should have pushed more. Someone would have bought it. But beggars can't be choosers in this climate, and I become a beggar by not having any money at all. And I haven't actually fully paid Aidan yet, so I need to pay Aidan. Aidan, who is an absolute legend, by the way, guys. I wish I will, somewhere down the line, introduce you, and I'm going to pitch his gym a bit more, because it's such a beautiful gym, and he has some great staff, and he's a great person himself. And once the gyms are reopened, locals need to support each other to get them back on track. So it'd be great if any watchers were local and wanted to start using a gym. Then his is down the road, and it's stunning. But let's see how this test ride goes. Hopefully I've secured a sale. I ordered the new barrel and piston for the DNA. Proper high hopes there. Probably wasted 80 quid. And I've got my eye on a couple of projects. I'm just waiting on people to get back to me. One's a Piaggio Fly. One's a WK Calf Racer. One is... what am I looking at? Oh yes, that Nat keeps going on about this really ugly GP Z. I am chatting to that guy as well, actually. But my God, that bike needs a lot of work. But it kind of does to me what it does to Nat, where like you feel like you almost have to rescue it. So I am in chat with that guy as well at the moment. So let's see, let's get this sold and secured. Hopefully he will literally ride this away. I'll give him Sultan's helmet without Sultan knowing about it. And then we'll look at what happens next for us at the motorcycle garage. As always, guys, in fact, no, give me a couple of minutes and I'll update you. Let's see if he buys.